Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Sharon, and this is Write the Book Now interview and podcast show. I am so excited that today I have the authors of Unleash Travails from Pain to Purpose as my guest. Thank you all so much for being here. We have the visionary author, Cheena Wright. We have Keisha, Barrett, Boatwright, who is a contributing author. We have Lisa Lee, and I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Lisa.
Yes.
Okay. And then jumping in, we'll have Tamela Coleman. So thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time out for talking a little bit about your chapter, Unleash Travails. So Cheena Wright is the visionary author, and we're going to start with her. Cheena, if you could just provide a very brief introduction of who you are.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I am Cheena H. Wright. I am inspirational speaker, author, life coach, and conqueror of triple negative breast cancer. I have two daughters, and I also have a empowerment group called Triple Empowerment Network, where we create platforms for women to share their stories that don't have a voice or don't know how to get out there and do it.
Thank you. And Keisha, Barrett Boatwright, if you can introduce yourself as well.
Hi, I'm Keisha. I am a mother of three. I'm a grandmother of one. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a first-time author. And that's it.
I love it. Welcome. And Lisa, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lee. I'm a mother of three. I've been married for 27 years. This is my first published book. I am a hairstylist and I'm also a nurse.
I love it, girl. Get them coins. Yes. I love it. And I love that most of you guys are first-time authors. First of all, I am a lover of the anthology, the collaboration project, and also allowing first-time authors to step out there and tell your story. I love that. So congratulations to all of you. And we're going to dive in. So, Cheena, I want to start with you with the introduction. Basically, you start out defining what travail is. How did you come up with this title, Unleash Travails from Pain to Purpose?
Well, after writing my first book, Spiritual Steps to Surviving a Triple Negative Diagnosis, I started writing down what were some other things that I have travailed through. What are some other things that I have faced in my life? Because everybody knew me as being a survivor of breast cancer. And I just wanted to share more of who I was. And then I had other women that were asking, well, Cheena, how did you do it? How did you write the book? How did you get started? What did you do? But what I started doing was writing down other things that I've faced in life, from the broken marriage, divorce, the childbirth, the torment of being bullied at a young age, abortion, just a bunch of different things. And I started writing it down. And last year, August, in my phone, I like to keep notes when my mind starts going. And I wrote in there, Unleash Travails will be the name of the next book. And that's how it came about.
Wow, I love that. And we're going to dive in because I tell you, it's a page turner. And ever since I received the book, I haven't been able to pull it away. I was like, oh my God, I just love the authenticity of it and the transparency of it. So we're going to dive in. Lisa, I want to start with you. You actually start your chapter with a mantra that you say daily, and I'm going to read it. It says, the best revenge is no revenge at all. Move on from the hurt and be happy. When you hold on to the hurt and pain, you allow them to have power over you. You only have this one life. Find inner peace and live your life to the fullest. The rest will take care of itself. Talk about this just briefly.
Well, my mom used to always say, when you allow somebody to, when you hold on to something, you allow somebody to have power over you. And she also used to say, everything will take care of itself in time. if you give it time, it'll take care of itself. So as a child, I always felt like my sister, my brother, they were better than me. And I didn't feel like I was wanted or needed to be around, because whenever I would come around my sister and my dad, they could be sitting side by side playing a game or whatever. And if I tried to join in, they didn't want me to join in. It was their time. So at that young age, it was just, my dad doesn't feel the same way about me that he feels about my sister. So I gravitated toward my mother. So she became my rock. And through life, things has happened, abuse, verbal and physical abuse from my brother. And I just felt like I was never good enough. So I felt like I had to be this way with this group of people, this way with that group of people, in order to be welcomed into that group. And as the years went on, I lost myself. And my mom used to always say, if there's something you want to do, you can do it. There's nothing that you can't do. You're your only limitation. And when my mom passed away in 2007, it was like I was with her the night she passed. And when she took her last breath, it was almost as if I was taking my first. And it was like a light bulb popped on. And I realized me being here on this earth is not to make other people happy at the expense of my happiness. You only get one life. You have to live that one life the best way you can. And some people like that. Some people will like you for it. Some people won't. But at the end of the day, when I take my final breath, I want to have that mindset of I did everything that I could to please me. So that's where that mantra came from.
I love that. And especially because it's something that you say daily, which means it's ingrained. And I absolutely love that. And not feeling good enough. Wow. Growing up with that must have been something impactful for you. And telling your story now, I'm sure helped release some of that.
Honestly, it released all of it.
Yeah, that is awesome. Also, and we're going to move over to Keisha. And definitely, first of all, your chapter is Reflection of My Journey. And I just want to read a small portion of yours. I had to learn everything was a process and take time. I had to learn the power in letting go, and most importantly, the power of loving myself. Those are some impactful words right there in those just few sentences. Talk about that.
Well, the thing that I've learned during the process is that we always want to rush things. And instead of, for me, I never dealt with a lot of stuff. I pushed through them, I rushed through them, but I never really dealt with it. And when I did sit back to think about how I have dealt with it, I realized that it's a process. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. And then I have to be willing to trust the process that I can get through that. And the process of sometimes you lose yourself trying to cover up because you're not dealing with it. And once I realized that I started dealing with it through the process, I learned to love myself even more and to value myself even more.
I love that. Valuing yourself even more. If you don't value yourself, you can't expect for someone else to. And I'm sure you've learned that. Yes. Absolutely. So I love that. So Tamela, we're going to go over to you. And I'm going to read a passage from your chapter entitled Living in Wholeness on Purpose. Sometimes our worst enemy can often be ourselves. By raising and keeping your self-esteem up, you feel more deserving of good things in life. We all deserve to live a life of peace, joy, and happiness. Believe that you are worth it. And that almost goes back with what Keisha was saying, and value yourself. So Tamela, can you talk a little bit about that? Okay, maybe something happened. We'll come back to Tamela. Cheena. We're going to go to Cheena. We'll come back to Tamela. We may be having some difficulties there, but that's okay. So Cheena, you actually started out your chapter talking about the mammogram that was happening on your job the week before your 35th birthday.
Yes.
That was so powerful to me. You're like, I'm just a week away.
Yes.
Talk about that just a little more, please.
So every year they would bring this mobile unit to come to the job and just offer free mammograms for anybody that wanted a mammogram. And back in early 2000s, they've always said, well, 35, you can get a mammogram. And that particular walked on the unit mammogram. And the nurse looked at my paper and she said, I'm sorry, but we can't do your mammogram. And I was like, why not? And she says, well, you got to be 35. I said, but I'm a week away from my 35th birthday. You can't do the mammogram? She says, no, I can't do it because they were up under certain guidelines and restrictions to come out on site to do the mammograms. And she was like, you know what? You're going to have to follow up with your doctor. So I get off the unit, thought no more about it. But then I went to this event where this man said, it's not what you know that'll hurt you. It's what you don't know that'll hurt you. And had she done that mammogram the week before my 35th birthday in 2006, I would have found the breast cancer before 2007.
Wow. Did you ever go back to share that with them? Yes.
So the unit came up on the job, and I walked up on the unit to go ahead and get the mammogram done, and the lady said, I'm sorry, I can't. The nurse actually said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And I said, well, why not? She said, because you're not 35. And I'm like, I'm a week away from my birthday. She says, I'm sorry, we can't do it. You have to follow up with your doctor. And again, I'm confused. It's 7 days away, literally 7 days away.
Wow.
And she says, because they're under certain guidelines and restrictions to even come on site to do the mammogram. But after I left the mobile unit, went back to work and thought no more about it. But then a month or so after that, I went to a empowerment event here in Greensboro, and there was a man on the stage, and he said, you know what? It's not what you don't know that'll hurt you. No, it's not what you know that'll hurt you. It's what you don't know that will hurt you. And I'm thinking, had she done that mammogram September 2006, she would have found the breast cancer before 2007.
Wow, it's really incredible. And now, I want anyone to answer this, because the things that you've gone through, undoubtedly now as you look back on them, there are certain lessons that come out of that. Mm-hmm. Through all of our travails, through all of our trials, throughout of everything, if you don't get anything, you have to get the lesson. Mm-hmm. And so I want each of you to please just share a little of some of the lessons that you've gotten out of your journey that can undoubtedly help someone else.
Well, for me, the lesson that I learned and that I would try and teach other people is never doubt your self-worth. If you don't value yourself, no one else will value you. Mm. So that will be my lesson.
Absolutely. Keisha, what about you?
I would say deal with your emotions, because if you don't, your emotions will deal with you.
Talk about it. I love it. And Tamela, thank you for coming back. Before you talk about your lesson, I wanted to read your passage, and I wanted you to just share a little more about what it is that you were writing. Okay, so yours that I'm going to read says, sometimes our worst enemy can be ourselves. By raising and keeping your self-esteem up, you feel more deserving of good things in life. We all deserve to live a life of peace, joy, and happiness. Believe that you are worth it. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yes, well, in my journey, I've had to learn to release my pain, release those things that I felt were shameful. I was born with a cleft lip, and in school, I got picked on a lot. Elementary school through to high school. I had to learn to love myself. And to love myself meant that I had to embrace how God created me. And so only having one operation, a lot of people don't even notice it, but within myself, I did. And I felt like I didn't have friends because of it. I felt like I was being, set aside because of it. But as I grew older, I learned to embrace it. And now, for my last book that I wrote was The Woman in the Mirror. It kind of just flowed over to Unleash the Walls because of that. Because I had to let other women know that they're beautiful inside out, not from the outside in. So I encourage women everywhere I go to let them know that they are favored, they are valued, and to love themselves regardless. And so I had to learn to embrace that, and my self-esteem was low. I had low self-esteem. I can remember being at home and shutting myself up in the bedroom because I was just so, I isolated myself. But as I grew older, God just let me know, I love you. You're my daughter, and I created you. So I began to embrace it. So I just released all that, and now I'm giving back to other women.
I love that. And so what, out of all that you've gone through, what's the lesson learned that you can offer to someone else perhaps going through that same journey?
Well, first of all, leave the past in the past. You have to try to move forward. Again, you have to love yourself, embrace yourself, and you have so much to give because God created all of us with a plan and a purpose. We all have a purpose for our lives. So we have to learn to use what God has given us to share with the world, because we are a test. We have a test to be a testimony. And so we have to learn to give back. The more we give out, the more God gives back to us. So that's what keeps me going. That's really what keeps me going. And I love to encourage yourself. And when you encourage yourself, then you automatically feel good about yourself. And then you encourage others the same way.
I love it. And Cheena, your lessons learned from any of the things that you've gone through. What are your takeaways, and what's your advice to someone going through something very similar?
Activate your faith. Activate your faith. Your attitude is 100% of survivorship. Whatever you go through, you have to create the atmosphere that you want, whatever you're going through, so you don't get caught into that depressive state. Because this is the thing, I think, and this is my own mindset, I think depression takes us out quicker than the disease itself. It's because our attitude, because we think that, oh my God, this is it. This is all is going to take me away. No, the devil is a liar. 100%. Your attitude is 100% of survivorship. So you have to activate your faith, because he said he gives us that power that worketh within us. So if we already have that power in us, activate that power. Activate that power. Activate your faith. Fight. Don't give up.
I love it. And Cheena, I've got to go back to something that you shared on Sunday as you gave final remarks at another book signing. 3 simple words: open your mouth. And that thing touched me so, because we, mostly as women, seem to hide or be shamed about whatever it is that we're going through. Yeah. And we know, those of us who have opened our mouths and told the stories, that you're not helping you, You're
Right.
helping someone else.
Right.
And I always say our stories are about us, but they're not for us.
Right. Exactly.
So I just need for each of you to say what made you say, hey, I need to put this out here. You know, going back to you, Tamela, you were picked on because of something that you were born with. You could have continued to conceal that and not let that out. But guess what? Somebody else is going through that right now.
Yes.
And actually, somebody's going through a whole lot of stuff that's very similar to what we're going through. So what was the turning point for each of you to say, hey, I'm not going to be ashamed about what I'm going through. I'm going to put it out there and release this thing and help someone else? What was your turning point for that? And anyone can respond. Okay. Okay, that's a first. So, okay, maybe let me ask a different question. Was there someone who influenced you to tell your story, or did you say to yourself, I need to tell this story?
I'll go. For me, it was important for me to tell my story because my daughter was watching me. And I knew that I was her first example of how to deal with things. And I couldn't tell her, this is how you deal with it, but then yet show her something totally different. Mm-hmm. So when I tell her to deal with her emotions and not hide them, but I was not doing that myself. I hid behind mine because I had to let everybody think, oh, I'm strong, I can handle this. But deep down in the back, I wasn't really handling it because for me, everything I dealt with was with anger. And that wasn't the norm for me. So when I realized that everything just started making me really mad, I knew I had to do something, because then I'm also saying my daughter's watching me and she thinks this is how you're supposed to handle it. So that pushed me to tell the story.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Anyone else, your influence?
I'm going to say for me, triple negative breast cancer is the most aggressive breast cancer there is for African American women. We succumb to that type of breast cancer more than any other breast cancer. And no one knew what triple negative was. Triple negative, what are you talking about? All we've known is breast cancer. Well, there's different forms of breast cancer. So it was important that I said, okay, let me put a voice to triple negative. I went out on Amazon and looked to see, was there any other books out there on triple negative? Well, at the time, there was only one, and it was by one of our European sisters. Well, I need to go ahead and put a voice to it for African American women to say, this is what I went through. So they can put a face, to what it is in the trial that it was. But it is running rapid in our community, and it was necessary to speak on it.
Wow, powerful. What about you, Lisa?
For me, I guess, okay, a year and a half ago, my husband and I had a house built. And while we were in the process of having our house built, I was still taking care of my brother, taking care of my sister. Anything they would ask me to do, I would go and do it. And as the process went on, I started to notice changes in both of them. They were getting angry with me over little things. And then it got out of hand to the point where they both stopped speaking to me. And so for this last year or so, I have not spoken to my brother or my sister. And it was all because I bought a house. And I went back to, it almost pulled me back to my childhood where, oh God, what can I do to make everybody happy? So I was sitting down one night and I started writing on my iPad, and I just started writing the story. And I was like, my God, this is what I've been through my entire life, and I'm still going through it at 40 some years old. I was like, it's time to stop. So as I was writing it, it became my book. And I said, I need to put this out. I said, because I can't be the only person that has went through all of this. And just so happens, Cheena had put up a post on Facebook, and I was like, I said, could I really do that? And I was like, and it was like a voice in my head was like, you can do whatever you want to do. And it was like my mom was speaking to me. She was saying, this is what you want to do, go do it. So I contacted Cheena, and it went from there.
Wow. That's awesome. And you had already started writing, and didn't you? I love it. I love it. And what about you, Tamela?
Yes, ma'am. And as the other ladies were talking, I knew that about 13 years ago, God had a call on my life. And I knew that I had to stop masking, that God wanted to use my voice. And so I knew that I needed to just let it go, because a lot of what I'm talking about now, I've never even shared with my family.
Wow.
I've never shared with my family because they never knew that I felt the way that I felt. But yet still, we put on this mask, mostly women, we put on a mask and we can just wear it, but we're hurting on the inside. We're just going through on the inside. But when you let go and just let it just release, and you feel so much better about yourself. And the reason why I decided to really talk about it and also talk about living in wholeness and purpose is because of bullying. Bullying is so prevalent right now with the kids today. And I knew that I had to be a voice because I was bullied in school. I was, pushed around. I was just talked about, verbally and physically. So I had to let it go. So now I'm the voice for those that can't speak. And I am using every platform to do that. Whether it's in writing, whether it's in podcasts, whether it's speaking, I'm doing it to help somebody else and to be their voice.
I love that, ladies. So where can individuals follow you all individually? Where can they purchase the book from you? And how can they connect with you? Because it sounds like each of you are now speaking on your topics, which I love. And so there may be someone out there looking to book you for your exact topic. So please start with Cheena. Give us all of your contact information.
I can be reached at, of course, on Facebook, Cheena H. Wright, or Cheena Head Wright. I can also be reached on Instagram at Cheena H. Wright. I can be reached on Twitter at She Speaks, or I can be reached on my website, Cheena at CheenaHWright.org. And they can buy the book from the website, or they can go on Amazon and get the book from Amazon.
Okay, awesome. Keisha, your contact information.
I could be found on Facebook under Miss Keish. That's MZKESH. I'm also on Instagram as I am Miss Keish, IAMMZKESH. The book can be purchased on the website, or you can actually just hit me on one of those social medias and we can get your book in your hand.
Or your book signing.
You have a book signing coming out, Keisha?
I have a book signing. I just had one Saturday, and we were sipping tea. Tell my story. There's some tea there. Okay. And then I also have one going back home to my home college at Rutgers University, awesome. November the 10th.
Awesome. Yes. Awesome. And what about you, Lisa?
I can be reached on Facebook as Lisa Lee. Also on Instagram as, what is it? Beautiful Lisa. And on Twitter, same thing, Beautiful Lisa. And also through our Facebook app, we have the unleashedTRAVAILS.com, and we can all be reached on that as well.
I love it. Thank you. And Miss Tamela Coleman.
Yes, ma'am. And I think Keisha and I are in competition with these book signings. But I can be reached on Facebook at Tamela Coleman, Tamala Coleman. And also Amazon, the books can be purchased on Amazon. Also, I have my website, which is TC Praise Production, for my production company as well. And also with Keisha, we both had our book signings on Saturday. And we go next month, November 3rd, I will be at Atlanta Area Tech College.
Okay, and you're going to be where on November 3rd?
Atlanta Area Tech College.
Okay,
Technical
awesome.
College.
I love it. Guys, what a pleasure I've had this evening sharing just a little more of your story. And guys, we only shared just a little bit because guess what? You need to go and purchase Unleash Travails from Pain to Purpose to get the rest of it. You undoubtedly will be changed by listening to these stories. You can book any one of them to come speak at your event, your group, whatever it is pertaining to their topic, because it's just so impactful. I just want to thank you, ladies. First of all, thank you for your transparency and in Cheena's words, for opening your mouths. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So again, guys, I've been talking with the authors of Unleash Travails from Pain to Purpose. You can purchase from any one of the authors, or you can go on Amazon. This is Dr. Sharon. This is Write the Book Now. And as always, if there is a story inside of you, don't wait. Write the book now.
Yes.